Hello, it's Anthony, the eclectic chef again. So, last week we were in Munich, Germany for a little visit, and we ate dinner at an Italian restaurant, of all things in Munich, and I had a very pleasant baked rigatoni. Simple cheese topping, browned in the oven, but I figured out that the sauce, a little bit of meat, but was mostly a vodka cream sauce. It tasted very good. But I thought, I can possibly sex this up a little bit in a way that only the eclectic chef can. So when we got back to our English kitchen, I thought about it a while and headed off to Waitrose to load up on my ingredients. Now, for those of you who are in the States and not England, you're wondering, well, why does he shop at Waitrose? Because they have the ingredients I want and the quality's good. There's really no equivalent. Whole Foods isn't quite the same. But I'd suggest for shopping for the ingredients for this dish, if you have a Trader Joe's near you, that's where I'd be headed, particularly because of their cheese selection. But anyway, fast forwarding. So we produced this baked penne in a vodka tomato cream sauce with meat and bacon and 5 cheeses. Actually, there's 6. But there's only 6 because I took the leaving end of a rind of Stilton and blended it in to the ricotta that we were using for the base of the pasta dish. So it was a last minute thing and a bit of a fudge. 5 cheese baked pasta dish. This actually, once you've got the meat sauce and the pasta cooked and you can be doing those side by side, you probably shouldn't spend more than an hour on putting this dish together. So 1 tray bake, assuming you use a big baking tray like I did. You could, though, bake this in individual serving dishes, which if you're entertaining, probably might not be a bad idea. I'd certainly serve at the table no matter what you do, and we'll talk about that when we go through the cheeses. I used a whole wheat penne for this pasta because I happen to like the taste and texture of whole wheat pasta. But you could use fusilli or rigatoni or regular penne and they'd work just as well. Now let's talk about the cheeses we used. I put a base of ricotta, and as I said, with a little bit of Stilton mixed in, on the bottom of the pan to settle the pasta down, really stop it sticking. Ricotta's pretty easy to find, but what else could you use? Well, queso fresco, and some people say cottage cheese is a good alternative for ricotta. I've never tried using cottage cheese in cooking as an alternative for ricotta, but if that's what you have, go with it. But if you have ricotta, use it. After we'd mixed the pasta, the meat sauce and the cream, vodka and tomato sauce together, layered that into the baking dish, we topped it off with sliced mozzarella. I can't think of a better choice than mozzarella, quite honestly. But if you had to look for substitutes, maybe provolone, Gouda or Edam are all cheeses that melt well. After we'd put a second layer of pasta, and remember I tossed this pasta in butter, I used Jarlsberg cheese because it's mild, sweet and nutty, and melts well. You could use provolone or again Gouda or Edam. In this case, though, a strong and tangy cheddar cheese might be a good choice for a stronger taste if that's what you're after. In fact, if I do, and when I do this dish again, I'll likely try a strong cheddar next time. Now, after that, we sliced up some brie. The reason I did this is because I wanted a cheese with a good rind, so that when it melted, the rind would stay there. There's lots of other cheeses you might substitute for that flavour, but as I've said, we want a cheese with a rind. So in terms of what you'll find and a reasonably affordable, camembert is really the only alternative, although I'd suggest you stick with brie because it's typically cheaper. This bakes up really nicely on the top of the dish. The sous chef said she thought it looked like pastry. And it really is a great presentation, either on a large tray, and I'd serve at the table, frankly, or if you did this in individual dishes, it would just look beautiful. And before it went in the oven, I tossed some Parmesan Reggiano shavings over everything, and it worked out really, really well. Baked up at 30 minutes at 375. With a 5-minute finish up to about 400 to 425. My oven here is in centigrade, so I had to convert, but it all worked out pretty well, and I think it looks very well. As I said, this is very tasty. It's very rich. I initially set this out as 6 servings, but I could easily really get 8. If you're serving it with a side salad and a dessert, everybody would be full and satisfied leaving the table. And as I said, this looks really, really good if you're entertaining. And if you shop for your cheese carefully, it shouldn't cost a fortune. The meat sauce can be fairly inexpensive. A couple of pieces of bacon. I wouldn't pass the bacon, by the way. The smoky flavour of the bacon worked very well. A little bit of ground beef. You don't need a lot. Bit of cream, bit of vodka, bit of tomato paste or tomato sauce, and you're good to go. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this recipe. We enjoyed putting it together, and we really enjoyed eating it. So with that, thank you for watching. If you enjoy this video, which I hope you do, I'd really ask you to share it with your friends and like our video, because it really does make a difference to us. With that, thanks for watching and enjoy the video. Greetings and welcome again to my English kitchen. Today we're cooking a layered baked whole wheat penne with a meat, vodka, tomato and cream sauce with 5 cheeses. Be baked in the oven, and I think it's going to be very, very rich. This is our meat mixture. Last minute addition, I'll be honest, I thought about this for a while, is 3 rashers of smoked streaky bacon, which is like American bacon, but you have to look for streaky in England if you want the fat. I thought the smoke and the bacon flavour might go with the cheeses very well. 250 grams of 5% fat ground steak. Didn't need much fat in the ground meat as the bacon provided it. 1/4 of a yellow onion, chopped up very small, cooked with the bacon, and about 8 small white button mushrooms sliced very thin. We're going to reserve this, cook our pasta, then we'll merge this with our vodka, tomato and cream sauce, and we'll show you the assembly. I got the number of cheeses wrong. This is a tub of Waitrose ricotta into which I've blended, just very gently heated it and blended in the end of a piece of long Clawson Stilton. I'm going to line the bottom of the baking dish with this, which is greased, and it will form the foundation for our pasta with sauce before we layer on some more cheese, which will hold that together. Then we'll have more pasta and more cheese. I think this is going to be so rich it's not true. And here's the ricotta with a little bit of Stilton mixed in the bottom of our baking tray, topped with some freshly ground pepper, waiting, as I said, for the sauced up pasta. Okay, the pasta's drained and we've added some butter to help it not stick together or burn when it gets into the oven, also stop it all sticking together. And right next there is the starting of our vodka cream tomato sauce. 1/2 tube of tomato paste, best part of a carton of Waitrose double cream. When we've incorporated that very gently, we'll go ahead and add the vodka. That's 300 millilitres of cream, by the way. England disgracefully went metric years ago. And I've now added another quarter of the tomato paste. As you can see, the sauce is fairly thick. I'm going to start blending the vodka in now. It's worth commenting that Jeff Smith, the frugal gourmet, once remarked that the cheapest vodka made the best vodka sauce, so we'll follow his advice and that's what we'll use. You're seeing this start to vent, so it's time to get the vodka in there. So the cream and tomato took a good, at least a cup, possibly a little more, of vodka, which we blended in. Then we've added the meat mixture back and about a third to half of our cooked whole wheat penne, which we're now just going to pour into our baking dish. By the way, this pan looks familiar. Yes, it's a K&K LA Inc. Korean non-stick pan. We like these so much, the sous chef brought one in her suitcase from Arizona. This is not a sponsored video. I can't even tell you where to buy these unless you live in Arizona, in which case get a Lili, which is where they sell them. But if you can hunt these down, they come with my strongest recommendation for non-stick pans. So, well, here we go. The cream sauced and meat sauced pasta is in the dish, and we've put a layer of Waitrose Essential Buffalo Mozzarella on top of that. And next we'll add a little bit more pasta and some more cheese, actually 3 cheeses. Okay, here's our second layer of whole wheat penne. We're going to top this with some Jarlsberg cheese slices. The real killer for this dish, sliced brie, which I think is going to look just fantastic as well as taste good when it comes out the oven, and a little bit of Parmigiano Reggiano flakes to top it all off. And I'll show you when it's ready for the oven. And here we are, ready for the oven. Jarlsberg, brie, and Parmigiano Reggiano, topped with a little freshly ground pepper. I'm not quite sure what the heat and setting is going to be. My oven's electric here, but it's also measured in centigrade, so I've got to do some conversion. I'm looking for about 375 here for 30 minutes, but we'll see how 375 Fahrenheit, I should say. So we'll see how that works out. I'll show you when it comes out. Hoping for good things. And here we go, folks, out of the oven. I have to give it a bit of a boost at the end, but it's lovely browned off, bubbling underneath. This looks absolutely superb. It's going to be so rich. I'm going to let this sit for 5 or 10 minutes before we serve it up. I'll give you a picture of it on a plate, but I'm very happy with this. So here it is served up. We'll do it with a little bit of salad. Let me tell you, I'm sorry, I don't have the good stabilized cameras and tripods here, so it's all handheld. But this looks absolutely gorgeous. I don't think they're big portions, but I don't think we'll need much more. Expect it to be totally rich. We'll report back later on how this tastes.